Robby, what's on your radar?
A classic mask mandate radar for you all. I know you've missed them. So throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, Washington, D.C. remained one of the most aggressively pro-masking municipalities in the country. Brought back the mask mandate twice for the Delta and Omicron waves. I was thrilled about that. Not. Mayor Muriel Bowser finally rescinded the mandate, hopefully for good, beginning on March 1st, though masks remained compulsory for many school kids, commuters, and library visitors. Across the country, formal government-mandated masking is mostly over, with air travel being a notable exception. But that doesn't mean mask mandates are dead and gone. On the contrary, many college campuses still have mask mandates in place, even though their student populations are almost entirely vaccinated and at low risk of negative COVID-19 health outcomes anyway. George Washington University, for instance, which is located just down the street in Washington, D.C., still has a universal indoor mask mandate in place and has no plans to get rid of it. This despite the fact that the university requires students to be vaccinated and boosted and test them every other week. Jack Elbaum, a sophomore at GWU, attempted to press the administration for more details about why the mask mandate wasn't going away. He did not receive a satisfying response. I was first directed to the university's previous statements and second informed that GW has not changed its COVID-19 restrictions because of, quote, our recent spring break and the rise of the BA2 variant. He wrote in a piece for The Federalist. To put it bluntly, this is not sufficient justification. In an email to me, Elbaum said that we're at a point in the pandemic where the country is getting back to normal. This is true blue states, true in red states, and even most college campuses. Yet GW has decided to keep draconian COVID-19 restrictions in place. This wouldn't be good policy anywhere, but least of all on a college campus full of young people who are required to be both vaccinated and boosted. In practical terms, COVID-19 poses zero threat to the GW community, yet the administration keeps policies in place that ensure the virus is on people's minds every day, end quote. So GWU, though, is hardly alone. Connecticut College still requires indoor masking unless a student is eating or drinking, using the bathroom, or in their room with the door closed. Masks are still mandatory in the gym. They are even required while outdoors if students are in close proximity to each other. New York University forces students to wear masks unless actively eating or drinking, or unless they are shut away in their dorm rooms. The university is even picky about what kind of masks the students wear. No bandanas, no scarves, no cloth masks. The University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, similarly picky about masks and isn't planning to get rid of the mandate until April 11th. UCLA plans to relax its mandatory indoor masking requirements April 11th for most students, faculty, and staff who are up to date with their COVID vaccinations, including boosters, although indoor masking remains strongly recommended, wrote the university. Until that date, please continue to follow the guidance below. Many college campuses that have rescinded the mask mandate still require masks in the classroom. That includes Harvard University and my own alma mater, University of Michigan. Quote, I feel like the classroom requirement is burdensome on a lot of students, Mason Hinawi, a Michigan student, told the Michigan Daily. COVID-19 has been a cloak over everyone's social lives. I feel like it's time for things to start moving in the right direction here. The administration apparently disagrees. Now, I've previously remarked that given how colleges are handling COVID-19, you'd think otherwise healthy 19-year-olds are the most at-risk population for serious coronavirus disease. We're practically bubble wrapping college students. Why? There's no reason for it. And now my big concern is how their norms on campus that are now entrenched, like they're still wearing masks. They're still required to wear masks. And we see how college students' values come to dominate elite liberal institutions. We've seen that with the free speech stuff. These are the same students who are, shouting down speakers they don't like at Yale and other places recently, who assert the right that if they feel unsafe, that feeling of unsafety trumps trumps whatever right you might have or whatever concern you might have. And now we're feeding into this idea of just over-the-top, ridiculous protections for safety. These people are required to be vaccinated and boosted and tested and still masked.
Do you think that's what's driving it, the kind of helicopter, like paternalistic
I think I'm forced to conclude that's a strong possibility. If someone has a different theory, I don't have any data to suggest that's what it is. But this already was the most kind of helicoptered environment, elite
Right.
liberal colleges. It's already the most, safe.
Students who wind up at elite liberal colleges.
Right, demand this kind of, overprotection, hypersensitivity that goes into the rules of the place, that the administration then foists upon them because that's what they want. So I have to suspect that it might be related.
Yeah.
That they're getting. I mean, I would lose my mind. I would rise up. You still want the students to have to be masked in the gym, unless they're eating or unless they, if they want to have a friend over, you're supposed to mask and leave the door open. I mean, is this creating are there secret societies on campuses of people who are no longer following this? It seems to me it's pretty militantly enforced still, as far as I can tell. I still hear stories. I still get reports. I still get notes from people with awareness on campuses of this snitch culture, this tremendous snitch culture going on, that the RAs say if you find out about people,
like the guy's got his nose out.
You're supposed to tell people. Which I would believe from having lived in D.C. throughout the pandemic, which is also a snitch culture sort of place. I've been snitched on for not following the rules.
Yes, GW is a particular place.
Yeah.
Because it's where the class presidents go, who want internships and
the worst sort.
jobs on Capitol Hill.
The worst sort.
Yes.
Yeah.
They can't wait until after college to do their time on Capitol Hill. They have to do it as 19-year-olds.
Yeah. It's just.
And now that they've heard from Madison Cawthorn of
what awaits them,
which he retracted.
Right, McCarthy was not happy about that.
He retracted it all.
So fun because he's talking to him like he's like a kid. I'm really disappointed in you, son. Was basically what he said. And you have to earn back my trust, and which is totally. He's a congressman.
But he had this great line. He's like, the Constitution established the age for which he's eligible to be a congressman, but it's still up to him to show the maturity required. And that he didn't just keep the meeting private. He just gave a public
he absolutely
verbatim
did.
readout. It was just
it had a vaguely after school special quality to it.
It did.
Like a Boy Meets World episode or a Full House or Family Values or one of those. Family Matters.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah. With the sad music playing, the disappointment. Anyway, that's a different.
And his news story is they saw the staffer maybe from 100 yards away in a parking garage doing a key bump.
A staffer, yeah.
It's okay. Maybe it was a GW student. And in order to do a key bump, you'd have to have your mask.
You'd have to remove your mask.
Your nose.
You'd have to, yeah. That's.
Maybe that's what it is. It's anti-key bump.
Although if anyone could come up with a mask that was configured that you could still wear it and be protected and also snort cocaine. Probably be a GW student. Sorry, I don't mean to malign the great.
That's not maligning.
No, right.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's celebrating the
individualist
ingenuity of them. Yeah.
Individualist culture, but anyway, I think it's so ridiculous, and I can't believe these things are not gone for young people at least. I can understand maybe if there still needs to be masking rules in hospitals or in old folks' homes, but. Colleges, schools,
and GW's right in a city. It's so if they go into the Subway or the Whole Foods or whatever that's basically on their campus, do different rules apply to them than apply to the residents of the city? And
they've all said we were just going to follow. We're just doing what the CDC says. The CDC says basically you can unmask. They said, well, no, just kidding. We're not listening to that.
We're not doing what the CDC says. We're doing what the CDC used to say.
Follow the science, guys. Terrible.
Unless you don't like the science.
Well, I'm looking forward to your radar coming up next.